one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, thank you for the opportunity to come here and share friendship and stories with other fishermen and inspire Catch to teach us something we don't already know. And hope the guys that aren't here are out catching fish. Amen.
Amen.
They might be.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Thanks. Cliff, almost a new member. State your name and rank, Phil, for the big one.
No, him.
Oh, you don't hear
Oh,
me speak.
over here.
Yeah.
Your director.
It's the right place.
I'm Phil Click. I'm relatively new. I've been here before, but not enough.
It's a rare privilege to have you here.
Thank
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
You live in Matt Nackers, right?
That's right.
Yep.
Came all the way down.
You fish all over the place. Okay, nobody here to report on the mixed bag. Salt water, that's gonna be covered by Cats tonight. Casting, we didn't do today. We talked about it, but,
We were it.
yep. Let's see. Got a board meeting coming up, this Thursday. Anybody here is a board member? And we'll be talking about the, Sugar Day, which is gonna be on, Saturday, Veterans Day, out at the Kent House. We're gonna need volunteers to teach casting.
What date is that, Mike?
Pardon me?
What date is that?
The 11th of November.
11th?
Yeah, Saturday, the 11th of November.
I'll plan to be there.
Okay, great. Then we'll put you in fly tying and maybe some casting.
Yes, sir.
Can you see the
Whatever you
screen yet?
want to do. Okay, and the other things we've got to talk about in this door. Somebody knock it? The other things coming up for the Christmas party. And also, besides Christmas party is our January fly fishing and also light tackle. Are we still gonna call it that, Catch?
No, it's Santa Fly Fishing Festival.
Fly fishing festival on, what's the date again? I forgot.
Oh, I'll get to it.
I got it right here. It's going to be,
That's sharing the screen, the calendar.
last year. At any rate, it's gonna be in January.
20th, right there. It's on there.
Oh, January 20th. And we've got a lot of things to do there to get ready for both those events. So everybody keep your ear to the ground and be ready for it. That's about it. Anything from Zoom land? Flip, Jeff,
No, sir.
Clifton? Nobody? Okay, guess you got it.
Somebody looks like they're trying to make a
Oh,
comment.
Mike,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just want to remind y'all about this coming Thursday night. With the open night fly tying, we're going to be doing tying poppers, foam poppers. And anybody that wants to actually tie a popper, show up, they got all the material. So,
Oh, this coming Thursday night?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
26th.
Maybe we'll have our board meeting there.
It's up to you. If I'm here Friday, everybody can make Friday. We could do Friday. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, well. So what kind of fly is it tying on Thursday night, Flip?
6 o'clock.
Now, what kind of fly? You
Oh,
missed-
it's going to just be a foam popper. Darren Lee is going to lead the class. I'm going to do a little bit about the cork poppers that I do, but because it's so time consuming and not conducive to doing during a meeting, I'm just going to show some basic stuff about it. And then we're going to actually tie, if you want to tie, Darren's going to have the materials to do a foam popper to take home with you.
Okay? I remember now. Thanks.
Mark got up, one other item, that's 2 weeks to Toledo Bend Rendezvous.
What rendezvous?
Toledo Bend, North
Oh,
Toledo Bend
Toledo Bend,
Rendezvous, yes.
What's that? Yeah.
It's,
You want to talk about that?
yeah, okay. So for 34 years, there's been like a casual gathering of fly fishermen from several states.
For how long?
Uh,
How long has it been going on?
It's been going 34 years.
Wow.
Yeah, right there, at North Toledo Bend State Park. And you have fly tires from Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, sometimes beyond that. They gather at Toledo Bend. There's no organized activities. It's just come, sit down, tie flies. You can come watch people tie flies. You can do some fishing. You can do some casting in the lawn area. And they rent the group facility there, which includes the kitchen, the dining area, the cabin. They have some dorm rooms out there. And it's like $40 for the weekend for an entire family, or couple, or individual.
To camp.
You know, to stay inside
Camp,
that's right.
$40.
Well, it's like a dorm,
Oh,
dormitory.
yeah.
Yeah, $40 for the whole family for the weekend there.
wow.
And so if you come by yourself, it's 40, come with your family, it's 40.
Copy.
If you come just one night, like Saturday night, it's $20.
Mhm. And it-
Friday
it's
night.
fishing as well?
Oh, yeah, it's good fishing. I mean, it's right there. It's at North Toledo Bend State Park.
Sure.
And they have launch areas for boat kayaks, they've got docks out there you can fish off of. I caught a bunch of big brim one year, just fishing off the dock.
So are the flies tied there specifically for that area, or are they just any kind of flies? Like, are they tying bass flies or?
Same stuff you can fish around here. That time of year.
Not to legal bends type flies necessarily, just flies.
Yeah.
They just happen to meet.
Oh, what they're tying?
Yeah,
Yeah, they're tying everything.
copy, okay.
Trout, there's a salmon fly tire from Arizona. It used to come
That's
in.
next weekend.
In 2 weekends,
Oh,
yeah, not this
cool.
weekend, but the next weekend.
First
And there's a
weekend.
bunch of us that usually go there for the day, like on Saturday. We
Mhm.
go real early, you know.
Yeah.
Get there and stay for the day and leave about 4 o'clock
Supposedly.
and be back. So it's
Sure,
about an
yeah.
hour and a half for me.
Yeah,
And so I've got something going on that Saturday. I might go Friday just for the day. Things get started off at 12 noon, but
so you go there and hang out at the facility most of the day doing that, you don't really fish as much, you're more in the event.
most people do. Yeah, most people just sit there and tie flies and watch people tie
So it's
flies.
not a fishing thing necessarily.
No, it's not fish,
Okay, cool.
but you know, people can do anything they want.
Of course.
It's not, it's unorganized, it's totally casual. It's really great, great
Yeah, I'll
event.
definitely capture that.
You have some of the top tires in the South there because a lot of the folks from the Dallas Club, what they call the Roadkill Roundtable,
Mhm.
which is, you know,
Tie flies from kill.
yeah,
Fur.
they have a reputation. They're usually there.
I like that.
And a lot of the Arkansas tires as well. So
Great.
it's really cool event. Like I said, you know, I'll send an email out when everybody, remind everybody about it. Let's see if anybody wants to go a particular day, Friday, Saturday. Usually Sunday morning, all they do is have breakfast. They might do a little stuff and clean up and then they leave. So, you know, don't make plans to do Sunday.
Fish Sunday.
Yeah, you go. But Sunday is usually over. By noon, everybody's gone. But Friday and Saturdays are really good days to
I don't mind go all the way out there about fishing.
It was one other thing. Oh, tonight's presentation is on speckled trout. The Red Stick Fly Fishers in Baton Rouge have a trip, an outing planned this weekend down at Leeville, Louisiana. So if anybody wants to go and just, you know, hang out with them, they have a fish fry on Saturday evening. It's a fish and shrimp fry.
Where
So
is,
on those years where the catching has been lean, it's been heavy on the shrimp. But they've always had trout. And it's a great event, it's great folks over there, because I was a member of that club for many, many, many years, since its inception, in fact.
I went down there with Chris with that club for redfish a couple months ago
Yeah,
and stayed down there. and fished. I met a few of the guys. They're very nice.
yeah. I'll forward that email to club members, but members of other clubs are welcome to come in, but you have to make your own accommodations.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not too bad right now, because there's a lot of people going down there to fish right now.
There's not.
No, it's surprisingly sluggish.
I'm going to take over the meeting. I'm just conversation. I talked to my, I have a guy down in Venice that I go I've gone red fishing for in years past. And he said that October, November are typically the best times to go. And they're pretty busy down there for redfish right now.
Yeah, I can tell you for a fact, because I was up there last week. And talking to friends and everything else. The east side of the Mississippi River is super red hot for both specks and redfish right now.
Mississippi. on the east side.
Yeah, Lake Bourne, Lake Pontchartrain, down all the way down to Breton. That area, it's all smoking the speckled trout right now, especially Pontchartrain. They're catching all the way up into Tangipahoa River.
Is that fresh or brackish?
Right now it's brackish because it's been so dry.
So,
And, so they catch around the causeway. They're just doing great. Where I was fishing last weekend, Kimberly, Terrebonne, that area. It was pretty slow. They catch you in the bays. They catch you good speckled trout in the bays out there. But in the marsh, the specks haven't come in very much.
wade out there or you floating?
I was kayaking,
Oh, okay.
and but the redfish is solid. It's
Really?
it's really good. Yeah.
If you weren't catching, you're passing by.
I missed the first two I hooked, and then I landed the next 13. And I probably could have caught twice that many if I hadn't gone. I said, after I caught 13, I said, I'm gonna look for trout. And I went looking for trout. I was passing up spots, I could see redfish.
Oh,
And I was still looking for trout.
I'll talk to you
And
more.
yeah, all I could find was some dinks.
I'm not one of those.
But Calcasieu is really good right now for both specks and reds.
Okay.
And Delcrum Canal, you know where Delcrum is? Right there in the dock, there's a boat launch. You go downtown, you launch there and put your boat or your kayak across, and you can catch a little bit of redfish.
Wow.
They're up in Lake Vanua, solid. My cousin manages Rip Van Winkle Gardens. He's telling me they're all
Oh, cool.
over the lake.
So I'll check
this
these
is-
forward down here.
Yeah. This has turned out to be pretty good fall, but and it's fooling some people to think that we don't need to change our regulations. But I'll explain that in a minute. Let me see if I can get the screen sharing to work. We'll go back to.
I'm on the fence about whether I want to take my bass boat out in the bay or not, because of the salt water. I want to do it, but I don't want to mess it up. You guys know anything about that? Taking freshwater boats out in the ocean?
We did it all my life when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Just spray it down when you're done. Run some water through the water.
Depends on what kind of trout you have too.
Yeah, trailers.
Could probably cut this wood. Yeah. Yeah. Spray it on. Yeah. Well,
But that's the only place we fish too.
where?
There's got a few other places like that. We didn't do my special one at all.
All
I
right.
don't
yeah.
never do it.
No saltwater fishing in America. We went down to Mexico. We did have some fish. Boats out in the bay.
Yeah.
So until I got here, I gave up the trout to from Louisiana, but I got redfish instead.
Yeah.
So,
Good relevant for.
yeah, I think so too. I'm really excited about those reds. Especially when I can get my boat down there. So reds with fly, I mean, I know you can blind cast and catch it, but traditionally it's sight casting to them, you know. How about the speckled trout, is it the same kind of deal, or you just kind of?
We got it, Catch.
As far as flies, but you're not.
What, you can see the,
You see the girl holding the speckled trout?
Yeah, you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was worried there. Okay. So let me, first I'm gonna talk about what's going on with speckled trout. And some of that includes some of the biology of speckled trout. So we can get into later about finding them and catching them. You understand that. So what's happening right now is for the last 4 years ago, they did their biannual assessment of spotted sea trout. And they found out that sea trout populations are on the decline in Louisiana. Something called the spawning potential ratio, which was talked about a second, was below the conservation standard. And so we need some changes. And so what's happened is they have a proposal that's going through the Legislative Oversight Committee this week. And it's going to be change our limit from 25 to 15. And the minimum length and slot is going to be, right now it's 12 inches, it's going to go 13 to 20 inches with 2 over 20 inches allowed. As you can see, compared to other states, we're still fairly liberal as far as speckled trout regulations go, even with those new regs in place. I can tell you from trips I've made, I've been, my Cormier limit has been 15 for many years. And I go out there and I catch 15 fish and like 14, 17, 18 inches. That's a whole lot of speckled trout. That's a lot of meat. So, you know, people who need to catch 25 of these little guys, they're gonna, yeah, they'll get around to this change.
So you guys are harvesting them too?
Is it?
You don't catch them at least these?
Oh, I catch them. So if I catch a big trout, I usually turn it loose.
Yeah.
But
I just usually
but they're the best eating, they're one of the 3 best eating fish in the state.
oh, okay, so
After the
I
triple
guess you know the
tail.
limit doesn't have to apply, folks, it was like, we're not keeping that. But these you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So here's what the spawning potential ratio is. It's the number of lifetime eggs produced by an average recruit. And that's a fish that goes from a juvenile to a spawn in female. When divided by the number of lifetime eggs produced by that same female fish, if she was never fished to begin with. In other words, if there was never any fishing. So they do studies and they figure these things out. They've got, all kind of ways. And, thanks to today's computing power, they can put those numbers in, just crack them out in no time whatsoever. But here's the thing that you really want to know, really need to know, is you can see the number on this chart, how many eggs get produced by a certain speckled trout. Now, 11-inch speckled trout may or may not have spawned. It's about 50-50 as to whether that female trout was spawned when she's 11 inches in size. And she will produce, if she does spawn, she will produce 3.2 million eggs.
And is that 1 year, about 1 year of age?
A little more than 1 year. But by the time that they are 14 years of age, 14 inches, they're 2 years old. And they're now producing almost 9 million eggs. In fact, the 15-inch fish, that's why the reason 15 inches in some states in the Gulf, as opposed to 14 inches, like in the Atlantic area, is they figured out that if you made 15, that female trout and the full 2 years to spawn. Okay, instead of just maybe a year and 3/4. So they just added that lineage to give them that trout a chance to lay more eggs. So you can see it's 9 million eggs you're talking about if you make it 14. The current limit that they're setting about 13 inches, that will guarantee that every female speckled trout has spawned at least once. And some will spawn twice, not all, but some. So it's a good measure. In addition to that, extra they put on there of the 20-inch, releasing everything over 20, only keeping 2 over 20 inches. Hopefully it'll produce more of these bigger fish right here. You can see that's only 18 inches and it's producing 18 million eggs per year. So that's a lot of eggs, but speckled trout have to lay a lot of eggs because the minute they're born, something's trying to eat them. In fact, they've tried to do hatcheries for speckled trout, and they've had a hard time with it because an 8-inch speckled trout will eat an 8-inch speckled trout. They cannibalize each other. And so it's a tough life to speckled trout. And so it's a numbers game. And just getting the numbers. Now, we talked about how big is that speckled trout. They're the James Dean of saltwater species. They grow fast, they die young, they live long. When they're 2 years old, you can see that's already a 15-inch fish, a 14-inch fish right there. Is 2 years old. And they seldom live past 6 years. The females grow bigger than the males, but at this point in time, right here, 14 inches, there's very little difference. And one of the things that we came across when we were fighting, I'm talking about the Gulf Coast Council, Fly Fishers International. We were fighting, we came out initially before anybody else with a proposal for a 14-inch minimum size limit. We didn't say how many on the creel, we just said we need a 14-inch minimum size limit. And we pointed out that 11 of the states that manage for spotted sea trout, they all have at least 14 inches minimum size. And that's the reason right there, the thing I just showed you and explained. Well, one of the arguments against our 14-inch fish was that if you make it 14 inches, you're going to catch almost all female trout. As you can see from this graph right here, that's not true at all. Now, if you made it 18 inches, yeah, then you'd have a problem. You'd be catching almost all females. But it turns out that the study that was done in Louisiana, sampling that they did, the 2 biggest trout that they caught were like 20 in their samples, with 28 and 26.5 were both males. So males can get big. In fact, it's not, it's not a perfect circle like this. When they start to get big, they really differentiate. And that's kind of a cluster around that size line right there. But then you have a whole bunch of males that are way up here as big as females. So you can have some big males, big male trout. All right. Okay, so what are the problems? Well, when the regulations for red fishing speckled trout were established was in 1988. And since then, that's 35 years ago. So since then, we've had over double the number of anglers. We've increased the angler fish effort and efficiency. We've had significant loss of habitat. We've had a significant loss of diverse habitat. Now, I highlighted that for a reason I'll show you. We've had a decline in forage, particularly menhaden, and that's a whole big battle on itself right there. And then we've had more freshwater discharges and low salinity levels. Bonnie Carey's been open, 5 times in the last 12 years, where historically it was opened up once every decade or so. So high water levels and everything, that affects speckled trout. Affects their spawning, pushes them further out, where they're susceptible to predation and everything else. So there's been a number of factors that led to this decline. But even if we gone in and fixed the menhaden and we fixed the freshwater discharges, we'd still have to have some regulation changes in here. We still, you know.
What is diverse habitat?
I'll explain that in a second. So here's what I'm talking about right here. This area, and I pulled this off of Google, and this is like 1996. By then, I've been fishing this area for about 8 years. First from a boat and then from kayak and canoe. And I launched along the side of Highway 1 right there. That's between Fouchon and Grand Isle, the north side. And you can see it's got defined lakes and it's got this. Oh yeah. See that right there? All that, those little small lakes, bayous, tranazas, everything. We used to go in there and we catch 20, 30 redfish in a day. Our personal best was 51 redfish on fly rod in one day. Was right there in West Laurier. It was an incredible spot. And we'd catch speckled trout in Lake Laurier in the fall, in the winter, and the spring. We'd catch them. You see this arm of Lake Laurier, it goes back to the west. That emptied out several little tidal cuts in there. That was like one big oyster reef with flowing water. It was just immaculate. The speckled trout, top water trout in the fall too. Lake Palourde up there, all that marsh, just fantastic fishing. It's all open water right now, all 3 feet deep, mud bottom. We talk about loss of habitat. That's the biggest example. That in Lake Washington, in Port Sulphur area. Yeah. You know, really, this pretty much stayed like this, and it started to open up a little bit. But then after Hurricane Katrina, it was really open. And then up until about 10 years ago, I could still fish it. And there's like a bunch of little islands and things like that. I was there this weekend. It's just, I wish I'd taken a picture of it, but it's just wide open. Nothing. And of course, when it's wide open like that, and it's this shallow, it doesn't support a lot of fish. Salt water is no different than if you're fishing Coteau Lake or Cane River or whatever. You're looking for structure, you're looking for changes in bathymetry, like where it drops off, things like that. Fish like that. They like bathymetry, they like structure, they like shorelines. You gotta have that. If you don't, it's a good place to catch top catfish though. Go look at the birds, you see birds diving in September, that's catfish. That's about what you'll catch in there. So it's just.
So the likelihood is that will come back.
It could.
Could be years and years.
There was talk at one time of opening up Bayou Lafourche to the Mississippi River and just sending that sediment down into this little part. And it had so much resistance from people who lived along Bayou Lafourche, around Thibodaux and Napoleonville and other areas. It would take out their docks and everything else. There's not much you can do. Right now, even in around Empire, where there's nothing, they're opposed to, major diversions taking place. But that's what needs to happen. Something needs to put sediment back into that system. And of course, they do the terracing, and that works. But there's no money right now to do a terrace system in the Laurier area. It's sad, but that's the way it is. So the fish have moved on further north, where conditions are not quite as good, but that's where most of the fish are being caught now. Golden Meadow, Galliano, upper part of Little Lake. And this system right here, up to well, Barry. Okay, so this is the chart on the speckled trout that the biologists put together, and it shows the history of spawning potential ratio of speckled trout. And we had a dip in 1990, and that was because we were not only catching a lot of speckled trout. The biomass had fallen because of big freeze in '89. There was a lot of catching speckled trout by commercial fishing. And so that kept the biomass, the point potential ratio down until about 1995. And then you can see went way back up again. And it stayed up until about 2013. And now it's been on that decline. And they thought at least it was just a temporary decline, but it's not. It's going past the safety standard right there.
It did take up.
What was their reason for that? 2013.
Well, what happened in 2019?
No,
Yeah.
big-
Well, yeah, 2020 COVID, no, that's, yeah.
Everybody's out there fishing. Socially fishing.
Except you couldn't find a place to stay down
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Okay, let's see. And
So let's hope is that COVID took out a lot of those anglers.
okay, so proportion of population of age 3 speckled trout. Remember the speckled trout larger than 15 inches, really lots and lots of eggs. So that's a key dynamic. In fact, it says right there, age 3 females are prime spawners. They lay roughly 3 times as many eggs per year as a single juvenile trout, which is about 11, 12 inches. So we saw a big decline in proportion of age 3 speckled trout since the early 80s. Went back up again in 2000, late 1990s, 2000s, so on, but there's been a decline since. And then this gets diversity of habitat, that area that I showed you, West Laurier, because the tide scours out, creates cuts and everything else. You had areas in there that were 10, 12 feet deep. Lots of places in there where trout could come in the wintertime if you had a big freeze or something, or a real cold spell, and they could just hunker down. Now that area, like I said, is 3 feet deep. It doesn't give them that habitat. Yeah, exactly. So what we're seeing, even though we had these big fish kills in 83 and 89, you'd think, okay, we haven't had those really severe freezes since, but it has gotten cold enough, below 50 degrees water temperature to kill speckled trout. And because they don't have as many deep reservoirs to go to, even around Golden Meadow, we have these oil field canals, these dead end canals that are 8, 10 feet deep. Those are all now about 2, 3 feet deep. They're all silted in. So you're seeing more of this. In fact, last year, remember last Christmas, it got down to, it was like only 30 degrees, 32 degrees.
It was below freezing for a week straight.
Yeah, it was bad. They had several fish kills reported on Facebook around Lake Charles and Terrebonne. That area. So we just have a whole bunch of things going against us for speckled trout. And so biologists said, okay, let's present to the public. And they had several meetings. They had one here, I think. They had one in Shreveport, on Samuel, Lake Charles, Lafayette, Nutter. And we're gonna give y'all an opportunity to tell us which of these scenarios you like. Some people said, we don't want to see any change. But the vast majority said, we're okay with a 15 fish limit if you cut out the guide limit too. So with that in mind, they went with a 13.5-inch minimum size, 15 fish limit. And that would have gotten them to halfway between where that blue line and that red line is. And that yellow line right there is the conservation standard. So we've gotten to the conservation standard. We said we wanted 14 inches. And that was where the blue line is, safely above the conservation.
So what do they do to the guides?
Huh?
What do they do with the guides?
The guides were okay with eliminating the guide limit, yeah. The guide limit only represented, I want to say 1.2% of the total catch, the total reduction. So it had incremental effect, it's a tiny effect, but they were okay with that. Well, it got to the Legislative Oversight Committee and they killed it. And one of the reasons they killed it was they didn't like 13.5 inches. They thought that was kind of crazy. And so it went back to the Wildlife Commission. They didn't know what to do. So they sat on it for a little while. Then finally they had another meeting on it and came up with some different proposals and everything else. But they finally came up with one that said 13-inch minimum size limit, 15 fish per day, with that slot of 20 inches and 20 inches. Well, if you look at this chart right here, that 13-inch minimum size limit puts you at about an 18% reduction. But it turns out that if you release the 2 over 20, it gets you to about 20% reduction. Well, where's that 20% reduction get you? Where that blue line is up on the right-hand, left-hand chart, and gives you 20% savings. So it puts you above the conservation standard, and it does that within about, well, this, when they put this chart together, it was in 2019. Here we are, 2023. So we've delayed for a while. So really, it's going to be about 2025. We'll start to see trout improving statewide.
Because you're already lower than, you don't have data for this year yet. Probably lower still. The starting point's gonna be low.
Well, this is that black line is where they figured we would be if we didn't do anything. So we're not too far in the hole. But speckled trout can recover pretty fast. And so we enact this this latest proposal, which from everyone I'm talking to, it sounds like it's gonna go. We should be in good shape in a couple of years. And I can tell you that, you know, speckled trout fishing isn't what it used to be. Anyway, maybe Wrigley's in Lake Pontchartrain, but again, that's a different situation. That's where they've had so long that they've been fresh water and everything else. The environment has changed, but that area has not been affected by coastal erosion like the rest of the state. It still has a lot of that diverse habitat that we talked about. And so that's an area that could really, will see a boom once these new regulations come in. It's already good, but it can get a whole lot better. I remember the days when we used to go out there and we used to catch 4 or 5 pound speckled trout. In Lake Bourne, we used to catch them on top water. Purchasing poppers, which was in the 7. And that was just mind blowing. So any questions about the management spectrum?
I have a question, Catch.
Zoom, guys?
I have a question.
Yeah.
It seems like Lake Calcasieu has been on the decline ever since the Deepwater Horizon spill. Has that ever been mentioned? Because it seems like it just went away.
Yes, it's been on a decline because after the BP oil spill, they allowed unlimited harvesting of oysters in Calcasieu. And there was a young man who did a study and he showed it to us. I attended a seminar and he gave the presentation. He talked about it. He said how water quality in Calcasieu Lake had declined significantly after they removed about 90% of oysters in Calcasieu Lake.
Wow. So they contributed to the oyster harvest, not to the spill.
Right. Because everybody's trying to figure that out. Why would the speckled trout be on the decline in Calcasieu Lake when it had nothing to do with the BP, so far remote from the BP oil spill? Well, that was the reason why.
But the timing was so spot on.
Yeah. They say the oyster population is recovering. I have to talk to my youngest son. He's a fisheries biologist. He works out there with Ducks Unlimited, though, but he knows what's going on with Sabine and Calcasieu. I can talk to him about it and see what the latest is. But
Yeah.
it sounds like it's on the recovery. It's on the rise.
So have they talked anything about the oyster farm that they got going on somewhere down there on the south end? What that will contribute to the fishery? Or is it just going to contribute to oysters in the restaurants?
I think it'll contribute more to the latter. It's for the oysters to do something for Calcasieu, they have to be over the whole
The
lake,
bottom?
particularly the north end of the lake, Turnus Bay, in that area.
Well, it's amazing. I used to, I started wade fishing the north end probably 15 years ago, and I'd wear out a pair of boots walking on those oysters real quick.
Yeah.
And lately I haven't stepped on an oyster reef in a long time. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And when you start wading it, it's a real storyteller. I've heard about all those reefs that were out there, and all that's made up when you start walking across it and you find there's nothing to walk on.
Yep. We had an epic trip out there with the guide 1 year. And I think I caught more oysters than I caught trout, but my wife murdered them. She
Yeah.
caught her limit in 1 hour. But it was fun. Oh, well.
Interesting presentation. Thanks.
Hey, Catch,
Thank you.
Catch,
Yes.
I got a question. About 5 or 6 slides ago, you mentioned that a 3-year-old fish produces, I think, 17 million eggs. Is that correct?
Yeah, annually, yes.
Okay. And that an 11-year-old fish, an 11-inch fish produced 3.2.
No, it's like 700,000 or something like that. Wait,
You
I can go
sure?
back to that. Yeah,
I think it was 3.2.
a year?
I
No,
believe.
no, that I know for a fact. It's. Y'all see my screen right now? Y'all seen? the
No.
big-
No, we
We're
see the
not.
top of your head.
Okay, good. All right.
No bad. So while you're looking, just an FYI for people that don't know much about Calcasieu, Calcasieu has been a 15 fish, 12-inch limit for several years. I don't know, 10 years maybe.
Yeah,
So the change in the limit won't affect us much at all, other than going from 12 to 13. I think.
yeah, that's about right. And there'll be a change on the maximum size, because y'all have a maximum size too. Calcasieu to be.
Yeah, the 2 max has always been there though, hasn't it? I think it has.
Only on Calcasieu has it been a maximum. I think
That's
it's
right.
24 inches.
Yeah, I think it was 2 over 24, something like that. But I tell you what, 10 years ago, that was easy to hit.
Yeah. Can y'all
Okay.
see?
Yes, we got it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Is that you, Ted?
Yeah, y'all see that?
Is that you?
No, that's Kevin, my buddy Kevin. Okay, I got it. I don't know, for some reason it's doing this. Okay. All right, let me remove this. So I can see this now. Okay. So we want to go speckled trout fishing in the fall. It's the best time. November, October, starting about mid-October, November, December, until it gets really cold. And then it's highly weather dependent. You want to pick your warm, mild days, overcast, little wind, and so on. Anything with a front, you want to avoid. Any days that have, bluebird skies, you're gonna have to fish early or late. The middle of the days, it's not gonna work. They don't like high pressure. After the big front comes through, I usually wait till the wind changes to the east. The tide starts to come back up, and you start getting that southeast, southwest wind again. And if it's a nice overcast day after about 2, 3 warm days, foggy like it was today, this morning, oh, I love being out there. It can be special. You can get some really nice trout on top water, poppers, which we'll talk about later. But if you're gonna go out there, there's just things you need to bring: cell phone, not just for emergency use, but uses GPS, the camera, whatever. Personal flotation device. If you're in a kayak, it's absolutely necessary. It's not a requirement, but I'll tell you right now, things happen, and can go overboard. Sun protection, even in wintertime, you can get sunburned. And so wear comfortable long shirts and pants to maximize movement, long brim hat to reduce the glare, sunscreen gator, have a first aid kit available. And then, of course, polarized sunglasses for sharper contrast, just in case you come across these redfish and sheep's head and drum tailing, maybe get you away from speckled trout fishing for a little while. Okay. So if you're targeting speckled trout, like I said, now's the best time from October through April. As of April, they start moving offshore to the passes, the little bays in that area. But now, this time of year, they'll be in the marsh. Right now, and through most of November, they actually prefer open oyster reefs with 4 feet deep. So if you go out there and you see all the pipes sticking out the water like that, that's usually oyster reefs. And find some tide, some current, find some points, find some cuts, you'll find the speckled trout. When you get into late fall and winter, after you've had a cold spell, you want to look for deep water canals, those sand pits, or places where they have freshwater discharge, like at Golden Meadow and Galliano. Those places where they have discharges like 20, 30 feet deep. And the speckled trout just crowd up it. Tidal bayous, again, those are deeper. And then they prefer, like I said, the warmer days, overcast, or foggy conditions. And you absolutely need some kind of movement. Like this weekend, whoever picked this weekend for the Ritz deal, did look at the tide charts, because the tide's pretty flat. So you can still catch redfish, sheep's head and drum in those conditions. Speckled trout's gonna be tough. So what to look for? Well, moving water, diving birds, even singing birds. Sometimes I'll come up into a little area, a little pond out there, and I'll see a whole bunch of gulls sitting around. Well, it tells me they're just waiting for the tide to turn and the trout to start feeding. So I might work along the perimeter. I might go chase a redfish here or there. I know those birds are there and they're waiting. And that's the first thing you see when you start seeing them dive. Actions on. Slicks on the surface. Sometimes you won't see birds or anything going on, but you come into an area on a small lake and you see the slick on the surface. It's something, looks different. You've got all these ripples and you've got some flat area. And there's even a smell. Some people call it like a strawberry. I can't smell that well to tell that's a strawberry smelling whatever. But you can kind of tell, you look in there, you can kind of tell there's something going on. It doesn't hurt to start casting or throwing in there. And even if you don't catch a fish in there, there might be fish there. But they may just not be feeding at that time.
It's bait fish that the birds are after, right? Not the trout.
Yeah.
The
Oh, yeah.
feasting on
The trout blow them up to the
Like
surface.
shad.
Yeah, the shrimp and the menhaden do that.
Got
And then islands and points. I love islands because trout are ambush predators. And if you have like a little tidal current or even a wind generated current past the point or an island like that, fish on the back side of that, right where that break is. And I've had really good days, especially for big trout fishing. Now, one of the tools and techniques that I use is the vertically oriented strike indicator. So here's how it came to be. I guess it was back in 1990 or something. Club was fairly new in Baton Rouge, and a bunch of us went down to New Orleans and took a workshop with Kurt Dietrich. Now, Kurt Dietrich is the creator of Kurt's popper, but it turns out he didn't create that popper. Pete Cooper did. Pete Cooper is a legend in Louisiana saltwater fly fishing. Kurt simply took Pete's idea and made it better. Kurt's done that with his spoon fly and rattle rouser. He's taken somebody else's idea and just simplified and made it better. When he sells it, you can buy Kurt's popper through Office. Well, the perch float popper is made by taking a perch float and cutting it in half. And then you take a little Dremel bit, you cut the face in there, and then you make a slit. You put that body on the hook with a slit. You super glue it, come in, maybe use a little paste or whatever to give it a smooth body. You put a coat on there, a metallic pearl, and then you go back and paint it with eyes. Some people airbrush it. I just take a sponge and I put it, dab it. That's how I make that one on the top. And then I do dowels, kind of like what Ron Bro does. In fact, the stipple popper, except on a larger scale, and just take it, do those eyes like that.
Have you guys ever seen poppers with the where the line goes through the popper and the hook is just attached to the line, the hook is not on the popper?
Yeah, I've seen that.
What do you call that?
I can't remember. Yeah.
We use those for when we fish with marlin down in Mexico. Fishing a popper like that, disattached from the hook, just slides in the line.
That probably worked, but sponge are too small for that. You need a big fish for that. Well, anyway, so what Kurt was telling us was that he would take those poppers that he made and he would tie on a leader, a tippet from the back of the hook down about a couple of feet and put a clouser. And I said, Kurt, why not just take the cork like that and just put the cork rather than make it into a popper, and that way you can adjust it like this. And he said, yeah, that's a great idea. So I started fishing like that. I brought a gentleman down in from Dallas. He was affiliated with a big fly shop there. And we were fishing the Marsh, and we were we'd caught a few redfish, and then I said, let's go try speckled trout. We started fishing speckled trout with this tactic right here, this technique, and he was just blown away. He couldn't believe how many speckled trout we were catching. First, he didn't want to do it because he kind of felt like he wanted to fish, straight, standard. But I was out catching him 4 to 1. So he went with this and all that. A couple of months go by, and I got a call from a lady with American Angler magazine. And she was doing an article on the use of floats like this outside of trout fishing. Like some people use it for bass fishing, or that she heard I was using it from this guy for saltwater. And I don't know, I must have been high at the time. I don't know what.
You didn't
but
hang over
anyway,
and call your lawyer?
I don't know what I said, but I said, oh, you're talking about the vertically oriented strike indicator. And then I said, yes, I have an 8-page operations manual on it, or whatever. I didn't know. I thought it was some kind of prank they were doing on me. And I was, it was bullshit. Sure enough, that's what she put in the magazine. Vertically oriented strike indicator. And there's an operations manual for it if you send it to this address right there. And I said, oh, I'll never do that again. I'm in trouble now.
So if I understand that right, then there's no hook in the float.
No.
Okay, yeah, I see bass guys back home do the same thing with a clear bubble and a shad pattern for bass. Where they pop the bubble on top and then they end up hitting the shad just underneath it.
But anyway, I left my ride in the car with the setup. But anyway, I'll just explain it. I've got like here's the VOSI. That's what we call it, the VOSI. It's a half a perch float, and the cup face is facing the fly line. So when you strip it, it pops just like a popping cork. But the vertical orientation part of it is the fact that the fly sits vertically like this below it. And when you pop it, it not only makes a sound, but what it does, it gives the fly a vertical orientation like that. It goes up and down. Now, if you've ever seen speckled trout, they're vertically challenged. In fact, the old timers that used to fish and surf down in Grand Isle, the old beachcomber and some of his buddies, they would throw Mr. Champs out and surf. And rather than retrieve them like this, they do like this. They lift the rod up, jerk it up, in the air, and that's how they retrieve it. And that's what, when you catch the trout, is when that thing comes down again. Those trout go crazy. And I saw it under the bridge one night, the first time I started bridge fishing at night. At night, you can see the trout. They're under there, under the lights. You can see their behavior and what they're doing. And I threw the clouser out, and I just brought it straight. And they would turn, go out the clouds a little bit, and leave it alone. Next thing I did is I took a little bit heavier clouser and threw it out, and then I jerked it. And when I jerked it like that, they nailed it. So giving that vertical motion to that fly made the difference. And so for years, I've been using the VOSI anywhere from 24 to 36 inches with flying. And I use a fluorocarbon tippet. And the reason I use fluorocarbon is because speckled trout have teeth. And if you get in this school of trout, you're gonna have to cut your fly off about every 10, 12 fish because it's so warm.
How often do they hit the float?
Well, sometimes they do. And when that happens, I have a second rod with a popper on there. And I'm ready to go. I will catch fish on a popper anytime.
Just devil's advocate, why would you always use a popper? What's the advantage of not using a hook on the float?
Oh, adjust it. You can adjust it.
Oh, the adjustment,
Yeah,
depending on like your water depth.
yeah. And sometimes they just ignore the float. They're not interested in the popper, especially like this past weekend, I was using EP shrimp, EP spawn shrimp. That's probably my favorite fly in the fall to use. That's that dropper fly. Most of the time, the rest of the year, it's a clouser. But that EP spawn shrimp in the fall, and when you pop it like that, you could see, you could go to Marsh, you could see shrimp right now, they're just jumping all over the place. And so I did catch a few trout, they would, you know, small trout, but that's how I caught. They were hitting that spawning shrimp. So here's the tips right here. You know, I have about 30 inches, or maybe even 36 inches. And when you have that long tippet and you have a big air resistant VOSI or whatever, and way to fly, you don't want to be making tight loops with your casting. You want to kind of open up your arc on the casting, which is not a problem. Because a lot of times I'm catching 15, 20, I'm catching 15, 20 fish from the canoe, I mean kayak, or boat, you know, it's fishing boat, but so it's not necessary to cast very far. In fact, sometimes those doggone trout will come right up to you. I mean, I've caught them with the rod hanging on the side of the kayak like this, and the fly laying sitting in the water. They're not boat shot, kayak shot. So you can get real close to them. So, you know, don't worry about having to make long casts or anything. Don't give her a little bit of an open loop. You can have a nice tangle to deal with. Yeah. And these are some of the dropper flies I use. The EB spawn shrimp, clouds of minnow, and then Fuller's Charlie. I think we've done all of this at some point in time. And when they start hitting top water, which is my favorite. I like to use the Kirk's popper, Pete's Cooper's popper is called. There's another fly, skipping bug, and that one's made with a mylar over a cork bottom like this. And lots of flash to it. They love that. And then I used to tie a lot of foil pencil poppers that Walt Holman from Alabama was a Buzz Busick Award winner. He was famous for creating this pattern right there. And it really worked. It's a great fly for both bass fishing, speckled trout fishing, red fishing, especially in clear water, which is another thing I should say. When you start getting to winter, cold days, the organics in the water column start to drop out. So you get a lot of clear water opportunities where, you know, you can see down 2-3 feet in the water. And those fish respond very well to top water when those conditions are there. And then here's some other top flies for speckled trout. Comacaco. I created that as an imitation of H&H cockerhole minnow. And I like to fish that off the bottom, for reefs and stuff like that, cuts. Just throw it out there and let it drift on the bottom. The shrimp gurgler and then the whitlock saltwater bait fish. That's a really good fly too in wintertime. And here's where you can go to get some of those fly patterns right there. LAFlyfish.com, redchaser.com. The FFI Gulf Coast Council has a native flies database, which will just starting to build up now. And then Mountains to Marsh, that's Ben Russell's website. He's got some great flies on there too. And then of course, I mentioned redfish, but other species that are active this time of year, fall and winter, sheep's head and black drum. And then right now, until about mid-November, sand trout are doing their migration, but they're still inside, the shrimp is still inside. So you can catch a lot of those right now. You get into this, they're really fast growing. A 14-inch fish is 2 years old, sand trout. And they don't live much past 3 years old. So the only thing about it is if you catch them, keep them on ice and feel them that same day because they have a real weak flesh. But that's one of the best tasting fish there is. If you love soccer, like you love sand trout.
I got a question about the, removing the hook from the. Never really stay at teeth. What kind of things we need to be aware of? Or, I mean, do they bite you or?
Well, that's a good thing. I did have one, but I have a picture of it. And you see that sheep's head right there?
Yeah.
Up in his mouth, he's got like a grip, those plastic grips.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've got a plastic grip that I keep like that. I
Okay.
always put it in the fish's mouth, no matter whether it's redfish, speckled trout, bass, whatever. And then I've got a pair of pliers, long pliers, and I just get the hook out that way. And I do crush the barbs on my hook. So that makes it easy to take out. I don't lose many fish. In fact, I probably lose 1 out of 50 fish I catch.
You guys have needlefish out there?
Yeah, but then needlefish, pinfish, hardhead catfish, gaff-top catfish, all those nasty fish like that. The great thing is they all disappear come September, end of September, they're gone. And so you don't have to put up with them in the fall and the winter.
I just remember the needlefish will bend back and bite you. Hold on to them, they'll actually come down and bite
Oh.
you.
So. Okay, so what kind of places do I want to look for speckled trout in the fall? If I'm looking at this diagram right here, can you guys see the arrow on here?
Perfect.
Can y'all see the arrow there?
No,
Can you see it?
no.
No,
Okay, well, I'll just explain it then. Any of those dead end canals are gonna be good. Anything that drains, those bayous and canals is gonna be a good spot. This is gonna have tidal movement. If you've got like a system like up in the left-hand side up there that drains into that lagoon right there, you see all those dead end canals and drain into that lagoon's gonna be a really good spot. Obviously, the upper parts of these lakes right here are gonna be good. By the way, this is a real spot. This is Point O'Shin. This is just east of the boat launch, west of the boat launch, at Point O'Shin, about 1.5 miles. So it's reachable by kayak. Any of those areas where you have complex where the water flows through and just, it's coming out like at the bottom of the screen, you can see this in areas where the lake empties into the lake right there. That's where you have tidal movement. Where you have tidal movement, you usually have hard bottoms, usually have depth. Trout are going to be there because they'll be feeding on all the stuff that's coming in, the shrimp, copperhead moons, and so on. So it's really easy to find speckled trout this time of year. There's a lot of good places for them to hold out. Now, as far as exactly where to go, usually this presentation will show the southeast part. I'm going to show you 2 places closest to here, and that's South of Homer, Point O'Shin area, Golden Meadow area, and then Calcasieu. All of these are boat launch spots right there that you can launch from. Now, I would say everything, see where the 56 is on the map right here? Everything on the 56 on to the northeast is good. And where see Little Lake right there on that side of the map, everything on the west side of that on the north is going to be really good. You're still catching some nice fish south of Little Lake in the bays, Lake Recorsi, Lake Bowery, Jackal Bay, Lake Felicity. But, in a couple of weeks, they're going to be moving, and they're going to be moving up in there. And it can be the smallest little body of water up in there. I've caught a pond no bigger than this room right here, but it had like 3-4 feet of water. And they had current coming through one spot, going through the other spot. And they were just gouging.
My naive take, where is that on the bay? Is it under New Orleans? Is that under Grand Isle?
That just showed you
Yeah.
Homer,
Homer?
Louisiana,
Homer.
Homer, HOUMA. If you take I-49, just keep on going.
So,
Goes right through Homer, the upper part of Homer.
Okay.
And then this is the southwest. Now, the problem with the southwest is some of the very best fishing that could be had this time of year, the fall, the winter, and all that, is in the Marsh area, Sabine Refuge, but it's closed. My son who works with Texas Unlimited, has been in there in the wintertime. He can't fish it. He's doing this just study, but he's seen like big schools of redfish all over the place.
great.
Can't fish it though.
Or at least they're there.
Yeah, yeah, October 15th through March 15th, so time's already passed, it's closed. All that green area down there is closed to fishing.
I think there's some walk areas you can fish during the waterfowl season. But you can't go in, like I said, you can't go into the marsh, but I think there are some paths that you can fish.
Well, this area here is really good, Black Lake.
No, I mean, I'm talking in the
That's
Missouri,
it.
so,
Oh. I'm not aware of it.
yeah.
But you can fish Calcasieu, West Cove, Black Lake. But one of our favorite spots, you see where the 384 is up there? Yeah, that's Lady Crab Trap. Oh, Lady, that's a good spot. Fish out there in the lake. And then you see just north of it, that red spot right there, that's Fred's Launch. We fished there before, Fred's Lounge. And it's a really good kayak spot. And good for redfish, and good for trout. But when you start to get late November and through December, those trout move up. In fact, they already have, because that's a dry year. They're already in Lake Priam. There's somebody posted on Facebook yesterday. They caught that limit around the Two-Tail Bridge. Again, Lake Priam and then Lake Charles itself. I used to go to Lake Charles and because my daughter was working there. And I'd get out there in the morning and fish, and birds would dive. I'd have my 15 trout for 30 minutes, pull out and go meet them.
Wow.
So, I mean, they could be really, really good. Again, just you have to watch the weather a little bit, see what's going on. If you have a big rainfall in the Calcasieu Basin, that's going to knock Lake Charles and Lake Priam out. But if it doesn't, that's a big fish to be caught in there too. So,
That's pretty deep.
Yeah.
I put a boat in there.
yeah, oh yeah, Lake Priam and Lake Charles, yes.
What do you call it?
Priam.
Priam, like,
See this at the very
Yeah.
top where
Just
the
under the
highway
chart.
turns. It's PRIEN.
Oh, I see, and the N is behind it.
The Two-Tail Bridge, where it comes down on the east side, if you go underneath, there's a boat launch.
Right there. Interstate the whole way.
so we usually have a trip up there, I say there, down there, the first weekend of December every year.
You usually do?
Yeah,
Should I do it this year?
yes, so we'll talk about it, but
Cool.
that's the plan. Okay, and then bank fishing, like I said, those fish come into the deep confines everywhere along there. And you can, this is along Highway 1 right here, between Fouchon and Grand Isle. If you get, a few days of south wind, tide, the water comes up and everything else, you can get redfish, speckled trout in the ditch right there. It's about 3-4 feet deep, and they come up in there, they'll be there.
So you can catch a pickup truck there too.
Yeah. But it's surprisingly good. There's roadside pits up there, sand pits that were dug for the sand, I guess. And they're like 15, 20 feet deep. Now, some of them have washed out. And so they're not as deep as they used to be, and they're not as productive. But some of the other ones, like the telephone pole and the snake pit, I can tell you about later on. But those are the snake pit does not have snakes. That's what the locals used to say. To keep people away, yeah. But you can go in there, you can get speckled trout, speckled trout
Yeah,
after a cold spell.
that's fun.
But there's a lot of places. The bank fish in South Louisiana, just find a roadside. And, okay, that's one of the golden medal right there. That's the one of those pits right there, golden medal. You know, you'll see people wind up along there. And there's David Rogers from the Red Stick Club. He's got a speckled trout on right there. We'll get out there with our kayaks. And we'll leave enough room for the bank fishing so they
Sure.
cast on us and have their space.
You guys have depth finders in there,
You don't need that fun.
but how do you know where it's deep at?
Well, you kind of know. You know, we're fishing intermediate lines and we're counting down and it's still not hitting bottom after we cut down 15 to 20. So it's pretty deep.
Okay.
But here's some informative websites right here. And Valley Fly Fish by Coast, Red Stick Fly Fishers Facebook, the Gulf Coast Council, and Mountains to Marsh. And so, any questions? There's Doc right there, my buddy Doc, with a VOC and speckled trout in the marsh.
I mean,
I see you eager to do it, Phil.
I'm ready to go tomorrow.
Go over the perfect conditions.
Perfect conditions. Like maybe tomorrow, or maybe, you know, tomorrow, you've got enough time to movement still. It's gonna die out by the weekend, but you've still got enough time to movement, like tomorrow. And then you've had like 3 or 4 days of warm weather, tides come back, you know, tides come back up. Fish are probably, you know, it's gonna be overcast, it's gonna be foggy down there. The only thing about it might be the wind. It might be a little windy, you have to check the wind forecast on. But if it's like foggy, calm, you've had, you know, 2 or 3 days of mild weather. Yeah, I'm itching to go. I'm telling my wife, I'm saying, I'll see you. Might see you in 2 days, you know.
10
We'll
to
see.
15 here tomorrow, I think, so that, what do you had those up 25 down there? That's one.
But you never know, you know, a couple of weeks ago, it was blowing like crazy here. And then I thought it was blowing down here on the coast. I didn't check the wind forecast down there. And I see one of my kayak fishing buddies, and he posted on Facebook that, you know, all the conditions were great today. It's just the light breeze and everything else. So, okay. Oh man, could have gone.
So there's something you want to get there in the morning though, you're talking about the fog and stuff.
Yeah.
If you show up at 10 a.m., you missed it.
This morning. Should have been there this morning.
Yeah, this one for sure.
Okay. Well, let me explain something. Like in the summertime, your windows are narrow for speckled trout.
Okay.
They're early morning and late in the evening. But as you start to get like toward winter, that window, you know, stays open most of the day. You might have a lull like about from 1 o'clock to about 3 o'clock and then pick it up again, but it's still good. And then when it gets really cold, the window is going to be in the afternoon. So I've had days like in January where I've gone down to the coast. I went to Mass one day, and after Mass, got my boat, hitched it up, drove down, got there about 2:30 in the afternoon. Because it was with the other things, I only had like 3 hours to fish. 3 hours to cut my leg. So, you know, I say my limit is 50 fish, but that's still a good catch. That's gonna be the new limit, by the way, so
Yeah.
you can tell people I caught my limit. But yeah. it can-
Mostly sunny. Southwest around.
Yeah, so we have many good days to come. Maybe not this weekend, sadly for the Red Stick Club. They just had that discussion. I saw an email about how they misjudged the tide They were going by one guy's estimation. It turns out he was totally wrong. But the Miller estimation is the one you look at. And I've got links to it on KisatchieFly.org. I've got links to it on Fly Fishing, even the Redstone website. So. Well.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else? Like I said, we'll have a club trip probably the first week in December down to Calcasieu and fish that Fred's Launch area we usually do.
Great.
And then some of us might divert to crab trap lady. Because that can be a good spot too.
I'm just trying to soak up as much as I can from the past, and it's all new. You know, got a lot from that.
Saltwater fishing is fun.
I do love the fishing. I think I know what I'm doing with the fishing, but like where to fish, what places are called, you know, how to relate to each other. I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah.
Got left up.
I think everybody's still here.
Still three.
Yeah, that guy's still wearing.
You don't even know he's got it on. He's so used to it.
Anything you guys want to talk about? Cliff?
Oh, no, it's great. Thank you for the presentation, Katz. It's wonderful information. Thank you.
Hey, Jeff, how was your colonoscopy?
It was wonderful.
Good answer.
That's
The outcome was good, but what was better than that, cheeseburger on the way home.
Somehow food tastes a lot better after a colonoscopy.
Man. Hey, Catch, I will say that for you guys that are up north, that the Prien Lake area is pretty sensitive to rainfall. It can muddy up and get nasty pretty quick. That's not the case right now, and it is a time to go.
yeah. Yep. Believe me, we need some rain, but up here, but if we get that much rain, I don't think anybody's here is going to be complaining about it.
Yeah, we don't mind. We get your rain coming down the Calcasieu River. That's what messes the north end up, Prien and north end of Big Lake.
Jeff, you think by next month you'll have enough expertise and knowledge on what's going on with the fly casting education program?
I'm not sure.
About it.
I'm really not sure you want my comments on that.
Oh, no, we'll take them. We might not record them. We can go off the record.
You know, there's some good website stuff to go look at to see their plan. That's probably the easiest way to do it. I can talk about it and field a whole lot of questions. If that's what you want to do, sure. You've probably got sharing screen tonight. You probably got an email last Friday from Nikki